belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one that tries.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. It's really early. Today I'm going to be giving you a review and a little bit of a comparison of the Razors SL. If you don't know, this is my buddy's new skate. He just got this, and as far as comparison goes, I'm going to compare between my Aeons, my USD Sways, and my Razor Skulls. But before we do that, I want to show you a skate park clip that I got last week that I didn't show you because I didn't finish. That skate park's really sketchy because, like, one, there's a whole bunch of rusty things to fall on. Two, a lot of the coping as well as the sheet metal to the ramp itself aren't screwed in, so when you go up the ramp you have to dodge those things when you go back down. So anyway, enjoy the clip. Okay. So I'm trying out Jogo's skates. He's actually over and we've been skating for a little bit. These are the Razors SLs, and I'm gonna let you know what I think.
He grabs her ears sometimes and
Alright, so I was skating with my buddy Jogo. He is learning to aggressive inline skate as well. Well, so am I. Anyway, he left me his Razors SLs to share my opinions on. I put my USD Sway liners in it for him, and I'm about to upgrade the laces real quick as well. My dude, I decided to hook you up with new liners, wax laces, and wheels. As a thank you for letting me skate your brand new skates. So let's make use of the daylight. All right, a couple quick thoughts before we get started. I'm gonna put this right here. One thing I really like is when you go to strap the boot, the strap kind of tucks in through the side rather than sticking out. Like on my Aeons, it'll stick out right here and flop around. And I like it really tight, so it flops around a lot. I guess I could cut it, but I don't want to cut my stuff. So the fact that it wraps in, that's pretty nice. The wax laces was a nice upgrade, and the wheels definitely a nice upgrade. Liners, great. One thing about the stock liners, let me grab those real quick. Okay, about the stock liners. Razors isn't necessarily known for having the best stock liners. like the rain liners are really good, but their stock ones aren't very good. I had I have the Razor's Cults, and the stock liners that came in that are garbage, like absolute garbage. So I was expecting these to be the same. While I'm not gonna say that these are like great, I will say they're a little better than I thought they were gonna be, especially like right around here, which is the issue that I had most with it. Yeah, right around here, it's super comfortable and the material is a little bit softer, not as abrasive. So if you're wearing like shorter socks than you probably should be for inline skating, you're not gonna get chafed. So that's nice. I thought that was nice, but I did throw in the USD Sway liners, basic liners, just as a gift because they're a little bit more comfortable and they have a neoprene front, which is good. Also, the stock wheels, while they are not fast, they are soft. Soft wheels are really nice for absorbing impact. Unlike harder wheels, you feel it more in your knees and your joints when you're using harder wheels. So while yes, these wheels are faster, these are a really hard wheel and those are a really soft wheel. So yeah. Anyway, speaking of absorbing impact, the shock absorber and these are really nice and they're really squishy. I have a shock absorber in my Aeon and they're about the same thickness, but this one in the SLs covers a little bit more room, and it's not as hard. It's really soft, so you feel the shock absorption and it's comfortable. Whereas the one in mine and my Aeons, yes, it absorbs shock, but it's almost a little bit too hard. So yeah, that's a quick thought, and now let's go skating. Okay, so right off the bat, I was able to notice some things that differed on the SLs in comparison to my current setup, which is the Aeons, as well as the Cults and the Sways that I've ridden before as well. So right off the bat, it is a very light boot. It is noticeably light, which is weird because it's wide and big. So is it as light as the Aeons? No. Is it lighter than the Sways? Yes. About maybe a little bit lighter than the Cults. I don't really know. I can't really tell. But I did know that the sole plate is substantially wider than the stock Cults. Obviously, like I modified my Cults and put a Sway sole on it. Yeah, sole plate, really nice, so I didn't have any lack of confidence when it came to jumping on the rail, which is good. Razors is kind of known for having plastic that slides really well, and I found that to be the case, but I also find that for me, I don't think I like raised heel boots. I think flat boots are ideal for me, so yeah, it slid well. Yeah, I like that. Another thing that I really liked is one thing that I've known since I've had my Aeons is it takes longer to put on the boot because the liner has laces, the boot has laces, and it has hooks. Just takes a little bit longer. Whereas this is very like slap it on, tie the laces, and you're good to go. And even though it takes less time, it's still really darn supportive. That being said, it's not as flexy as my Aeons, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Both are very supportive boots, but one thing I definitely noticed is that it is a wide shell. And on my Sways, the shell is kind of wide on my foot, which gave me a lot of foot room, and I guess that and combined with the forward flex made me have a lot of heel lift and instability in the boot. And that was not the case with this. Yes, I could feel that I had some extra room on the sides of my feet, but it didn't take away any of the support. So I was able to hop on rails and be comfortable and confident right on the bat. My dog is playing with an individual kibble. Anyway, yeah, right off the bat, and that didn't affect me really. So that was really good. Let's see. I think I talked about this already, but the liner is better than I expected. I had the stock Razor's Cult liner and my Razor's Sculpts, and that liner, especially around like the top of the cuff, was kind of abrasive. And like if your socks were even just like a tad short, you like have blisters and irritable skin. It just sucked. Whereas the liner that came with this wasn't too bad, or wasn't as bad, but I did find it to be a little bit less comfortable in the toe box area. So I gave my buddy the USD Sway basic liner, which is just a basic liner, but it does have that neoprene front toe, which makes it a little bit more comfortable up there. Here's the thing that I noticed. Razors tend to have this little, I'm not gonna say it's a problem, but it's like a sound, a plasticky, forward flexy, or just flexy sound when you move around in the boot. So, like I show here, I took off the cuff and then added some wax around the top, and that fixed that issue. Here's the thing. The Sway liner that I added, the material around the top is a little bit more rubbery, so I still have that sort of like noise. There it is. So I still have that noise, but it's a different noise, and that still bugs me. Yeah. Anyway, so less flexy in comparison to the Aeon, but it is still very supportive. Wider than the Colt, but still just as supportive. About as wide as the Sway, but way more supportive. And what differs from the Colt and the Sway is that this is a flat boot, whereas the Colts and the Sways are raised heel. Supposedly that puts you in a better position for grinds. Personally, I don't like it, so I disagree. But flat boot also gives you more room for shock absorption, whereas a raised heel, there's only so much you can add without taking up too much room in the boot. So speaking of shock absorption, my Aeons has a shock absorber, which is about as thick as the one that comes in this, but this one is a lot better. The shock absorber in the Aeon is almost like too hard, to where it's not necessarily a cushy landing, and you still feel some of the impact, whereas this one is cushy, and I like it, and I wonder if I can take it out and put it in mine. Another thing that I noticed, but this might be an attribute of the flat boot, is that I've always thought that the Featherlight 3s grind really, really awesome, but the power transfer lacks a little bit in comparison to other frames. However, I did find that this stock setup was a little bit faster than my Razor's Colts as a stock setup. And I think that might be an attribute of the flat boot, which is really good. And then that would almost make it so that if you swapped out the frame for a more rigid frame, then the power transfer would be really good. So yeah, there's a thought. Another thing that I noticed is that when I was taking off the cuff, the Razor's Cult, when I go to take off the cuff, I have to unscrew the outside and almost hold a wrench on the inside of the, I guess, holder piece. Because otherwise when I turn it to unscrew it, it'll just spin the object that locks it in. There's no like outer edge to keep it in place. Whereas this does have a little, I guess, like spot, like little square spot that the attachment fits into, which is supposed to hold it in place. It doesn't do that great, but it does tell you where things go. So I did find that to be really nice. I didn't think that the wax laces were actually like a super necessary thing to add, but it does help, especially adding more support right here. Yeah, the cuff is already like, that's a solid cuff. So I thought that was nice. Another thing that I thought was really nice is, well, yes, you can take off the whole sole plate. The parts that you're most likely to wear down are right here. And you can unscrew the individual pieces and just replace them as needed. And that's just a really convenient thing. So I thought that was really great. What else? I think I touched on this a bit earlier, but the fact that the also this strap right here, it's very flimsy, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it works. Anyway, when you go to strap it in, when you do it a little extra tight, it tucks in back here rather sticking out like my hands would, which makes it not get in the way. That's a really good design. Like I said earlier, Razors isn't known for having the best stock liner, and on some of the cheaper models, for instance, if it's not a pro model boot, it tends to have this wheel. This wheel is not a very good wheel. So I gave my buddy famous 64 millimeter aluminum core wheels, which are in his car. So I threw these back on, and that fixes a lot of issues. Well, I'm going to say that they're like issues, but it does make it go faster. Yeah. Anyway, that's really nice. So a lot of people have said that this is kind of like a cheater boot when it comes to doing royales, because this area is kind of low, and this area is kind of low, which means you really only have to bend down just a little bit in order to do like a royale grind. Now I can do royales regular and switch. I tend to do it switch more just because the ankle that I weight bear on when I'm doing it switch is stronger than the ankle that I weight bear on a little bit more when I'm doing it in my regular stance. Anyway, one thing that I've never done, if you guys don't know, I'm learning this sport. I'm not a pro. This channel is about learning new sports, as well as making content for the sport that I'm actually sponsored for, which is longboarding. I've never done a royale down my rail. So if you're gonna see in this clip, but I put my rail down my driveway and tried to get comfortable jumping into a switch royale position, with the idea that if this is a cheater skate, then I should be able to get it on day one. And so I went and did that now. Okay, so did I do great? No. Did I get it? Yeah, kind of. So yeah, this is a great boot to do royales in. I don't really know what else there is to say outside of this is a really good like bang for your buck boot. Just know that you might want to upgrade the liner, upgrade the wheels. The laces are not a must, but I did find it to be like beneficial enough. Wax laces. yeah. Anyway, this is a really solid deal. I think for me personally, if I were to choose between this boot or the Shift, I would probably go with the Shift. However, I will say before I go, this is, I want to say, so he has a size 12 foot, and I have a size 13 foot. And as far as the length of the boot goes, it was perfect. I will say the width is a little bit wider than my foot. I have like a 13 narrow. So I think I would go with like the Shift, just because it's a little bit more narrow. I think the sole plate's a little bit wider on the Shift, but it does have a flat boot with the same shock absorber. So yeah, I like the boot to really like hug my feet. And yeah, that's my thoughts. Anyways, guys, if you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in another one.